Welcome to this week's episode of Future Fridays, where we chat about future tech headlines from the week. I'm your host, Wiz, and you can find me on Twitter at WizLikeWizard. Today, we've got three lovely guests who I'll each have go around and give a short 280-character intro. And we also have Yael, who's a cartoonist, who'll be live doodling with us for fun. And you can find her on Instagram at YaelIsms. So, Dan, we'll start with you. Do you want to go ahead and give us a short 280-character intro?
Sure. I mean, I'm not counting, so, keep me honest. But yeah, so I'm Dan. I am a reporter at a website called Futurism, where we cover science, technology, medicine, new research, all sorts of things in that space. I'm very excited that one of our articles is coming up today.
Yep.
And I think that's way over, so I'll move on.
Nice. Manoj?
Hey, yeah. So I'm currently an analyst with a fund called Type 1 Ventures. The focus is ultimately on companies that we think advance humanity, C through Series A. And I tend to spend a lot of my time focusing on frontier tech.
Awesome. Greg?
What's up? I'm Greg. I am a co-founder of Hello Sponsor, which is an event sponsorship platform. I publish a newsletter called Co-Founder Weekly, which is a week's recap of startups and trends and things. And I'm about to launch a podcast about psychedelic entrepreneurship coming very soon.
What's it called?
Business Trip.
Nice.
You heard it first.
Great. Before we jump in today, I just wanted to say that all the headlines that we're going to go over today come from a newsletter I work on called This Week in Creative Tech. It's about 30 headlines from the week that are all fun, frontier tech things, lots of which are from Futurism. Feel free to sign up at bit.ly/join Future Fridays. So we're going to kick things off today with a game. So there's going to be a prize at the end. This first round is going to be worth 5 points. And this first game is real or fake. So here we've got 3 headlines, 2 of which are real and 1 of which is fake. I'm going to read them out, and the job for all of you is to guess which one is fake. So first one here is Apple lights up looted iPhones with warning that thieves have been tracked. Second one is smart fridge accused of fat shaming with grocery suggestions. And the third one is this Zoom magic show delivers a box to your house, then it blows your mind. So we'll do rock, paper, scissors, and on shoot, just give 1, 2, or 3 on whichever one you think is the fake headline. So hands up. All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot, and just hold it up. So 1, 3, and 2. So the fake answer is, in fact, number 2, smart fridge accused of fat shaming with grocery suggestions. So Manoj, kicking things off today with 5 points. Well done.
Thank you.
Awesome. We'll move on to the first headline of the day. So this first headline is, new AR app will let you model a virtual companion on anyone you want. So this article is about a new app called Hybrid, which basically allows you to create your perfect partner, friend, or even family member in an augmented and VR world. Basically, users pick an avatar and then they're able to customize it to any sort of face or physique or hairstyle and even personality. One of the app's more controversial features is a photo scan feature that allows you to add a real person's face to the avatar. Some people worry that there may be some creepy opportunities with that. The company says that you can do things like scan deceased family members to sort of not bring them back to life, but be able to revisit some of the memories, I guess is a better way to put that. Although if you go on the website, it is a very sexual tone around the whole thing. The idea is that you'd be able to bring this avatar into your home via VR headset, or even whisk it away to a VR location for a virtual date. So question to all of you to kick things off. I mean, we already sort of trust algorithms to do things like match us with ideal suitors on, the various dating apps and dating sites. Is something like this just one step further or maybe a leap further? What do you all think?
I'll jump in. I don't know. I mean, things like this, like, it reminds me a lot of all the news around like sex robots and like AI developments in that space. And like, I think no matter what, it's controversial, but so many things in that space depend on use. Like if someone wants, not you, I don't know, if someone wants to make a digital avatar that's entirely CGI and not real and whatever, and date it or just whatever, I don't know, fine, seems harmless, but like photo scan of like a celebrity or someone they know in real life, uh, it's it seems far more troubling than it's worth. Um, Also, I did notice that when you sent out this link, the Kickstarter has 0 backers right now. So I don't know if it's the future of anything, but that's a whole separate point from the issue at hand. But I would have serious reservations about any of the sort of real world connections to people that the user knows or anything like that. Um, but there's 8 different things going on, so it's hard to say all at once.
Yeah, I mean, I have a pretty similar stance just because I feel like adding that personal layer, especially somebody that you might know, how exactly do you monitor that, especially if they don't give their willing consent, which I think is super, super important now. Um, I think if it's, like you mentioned, CGI, or if it's just some made up avatars or like these players that are randomly assembled together, I think I could maybe get around that idea, but again, I'm still like pretty uncomfortable with it because I think it also raises up like a cascading issue. Like, what if this leads to people living like sedentary lifestyles? If they're able to make like their lovers and their friends all online, why would they actually need to go outside and, live their lives and meet new people, go to clubs, whatever the case may be? So I think it's a huge issue than just what we're addressing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this could be used in very weird ways, where, whether it's, taking a celebrity and someone becoming a best friend with a celebrity without the celebrity's consent, that would be a bit strange if that was how they spend a lot of their time. I think there are probably use cases for this. I do think that there's something interesting about a deceased family member, for example, and being able to like interact with them similar to that Black Mirror episode. There's some value there, but yeah, I think that if somebody gets hooked on this, they're gonna have some. They could get addicted in a way that like makes them would create some sort of, I don't want to say disorder, but like it can become really problematic. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Actually, I watched that Black Mirror episode recently. I think it's called Let the DJ Die, something DJ and Die. But they bring up, I mean, some of the
Hang
content
the DJ.
is
Hang the DJ. Sorry.
yes. No, Hang the DJ.
Came right
yes.
back because it was so funny of a name to me. Anyway.
Manoj, you kind of brought this up, and Greg, you too a bit. In addition to sort of like the moral troubles of digitizing someone without their consent, there's also like the social troubles of like, is this a digital immortality thing, or does it start to foster this like unhealthy attachment to like the afterlife, and also I don't know, like separating from reality, right? Because like in that episode, It's like you have the choice to pass over whenever you want, and people are like, oh, come and join me in this like unlimited afterlife. Like, why wouldn't you want to? Which is like crazy. It's like, you want to leave the real world to go into this. I mean, what are the thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, and that's tough though, because like there's been a lot of work on teams trying to create virtual avatars of people so they can live forever might be a stretch, but carry on in some way, like an avatar that carries their personality. But this is also, I mean, this particular instance is a celebrity's face glued onto a sort of entirely fake creation. And that seems like an important distinction. I mean, I know that's not quite what you asked. I don't know. I mean, the main difference there for me is that, on one hand, you have, can you use technology to sort of continue on after your body dies, whatever that may look like. But this is almost like, can you use technology to keep someone else around forever without them ever knowing or agreeing? And that seems different. Like it's weird to talk about deceased family members for a startup that's just so overtly sexual, but like the idea there is like technology is progressing a lot faster than our psychological understanding of it. And do you have someone who maybe otherwise has a healthy outlook on life and death, but wants to say goodbye to a child who died young or something, or do you have someone who wants to keep a lost family member around forever? And those things seem very difficult to peel apart, especially based on this level 45 avatar that we're all staring at, and I don't know what that means. But I don't know, it's thorny no matter which way you look at it, I think.
Greg, you said that
Yeah.
the deceased family member path is interesting to you. What are your thoughts there?
Well, like, so I've lost my grandparents and I miss them. It's been a few years. I look at photos occasionally or videos that I've captured of them just to get the essence, you know, to like remember them, to let them kind of live in, like, relive certain moments and remember elements of them that I love. And I think that if this kind of environment can foster that in a different way, a way that I haven't foreseen, like, I'm here for it. So that's my kind of use case, I guess.
That makes sense. Awesome. We'll move on to the first cartoon. Cartoonist, you have something funny for us?
Yeah, I think so. All right. Let me share my screen here. Cool. So this was one of my first thoughts. Not sure if you guys can see it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a few more. Let's see. There's this guy. I was reading about how you could customize their personalities and how much they argue, or how they argue. So this, just thought of this. What else? There's this mother. And she's back again. And lastly, this guy.
Oh God.
Yeah, I apologize. I made them all men using this. I might be making assumptions.
I mean, I think we all assumed. It's weird that we all kind of assumed that, you know, this is someone living alone, like the dusty basement archetype, and I don't know.
Like the
That's
movie
kind of the
Her.
vibe I got from the discussion, and this is very different.
I mean, in the promo video, they kind of do show like a developer-looking guy who's like sitting by himself.
This is a good example of where one benefits in a team or panel of having diverse viewpoints and voices.
Totally. Awesome. We will move on to the second headline of the day. So this one is how Baidu's AI produces new videos using just a URL. So this article is about China's equivalent of Google, Baidu, which is their big search engine. They've developed an AI model called VidPress that basically scans articles and is able to turn them into 2-minute to 2.5-minute videos. They say that human editors take an average of 15 minutes to do a similar task. And they also say that the AI is able to produce something like 1,000 videos per day, whereas their human editors can only produce something like 300 to 500. To train the model, they basically fed it thousands of different articles to provide context and then showed it other videos that had been produced for similar articles. And the idea is that you can now feed it any URL and it'll automatically fetch all related articles to that URL, create a summary, and then create a video from that. Question to you all to kick things off. Is this the future of journalism?
I'll take a stab at it. I mean, I think when I first saw it, I thought this might be more of a supplementary tool rather than the future of how journalism is actually, or how we're all going to see the news. Because I think one important thing that also made me reflect is, you know, growing up, I used to remember seeing Dan from the local Cron 4 News actually like talk to us and give us news about like the community, the Bay Area, and you know, seeing him in our living rooms. I think that adds a certain element that technology won't be able to replace. Like having maybe like an avatar actually tell us the news is so much different than that human element actually like personalizing and like adding his or her own flavor to the news. And I see AI disrupting a lot of industries and categories, but I'm not entirely sure news is going to be one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I can jump in and say, boy, I hope not, because I have a pretty strong vested interest in this not being the future of journalism at all. But I think you raised a pretty good point that I think there are a lot of ways that maybe AI tools either can or could someday supplement the work that I do or other journalists do. Again, I would love to continue being a journalist, so really hope not. But I mean, it's really interesting that like this is specifically about the sort of video you see pop up on Twitter where there's big text and images kind of slowly zooming in and out. Um, and those are kind of based on existing content, existing articles that someone then had to go out and frame um, and come up with and write and craft and choose what to include. Um, so I mean, I think it's a really interesting tool to keep an eye on, but also there was recent news in just this week of MSN recently Microsoft automated a whole bunch of MSN's newsroom, and it's already running into issues with racial bias within the algorithm. It made pretty big news, I think yesterday. I don't know what day it is in quarantine, where the algorithm populated an article on MSN about one woman of color and used a photo of a different one. And issues like that when you turn things over to AI are unfortunately common. So I think there are going to be a lot of exciting tools using AI to come out, but I think the future of journalism itself is unlikely to be, or I hope not, for issues like that to be fully automated.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the issue with this medium is that it will lack nuance. And, I feel like our society has become way too reliant on just like reading a headline. And what I'm consistently confronting is anytime I see a headline, just about any time, if I actually read the article, I think differently than if I read the headline. And this strikes me in a similar chord where it's like, if this is AI that's trying to digest and retell a story, there's a 98% likelihood that something will be incorrect in how it synthesizes and tells that story. So then the question is, do I want to take that sort of go in? If I'm going to watch it, I will have to go into it knowing that. And, it's like, I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, I'd have to kind of see it to get a sense of if I actually wanted to take in news that way.
Yeah, like there are algorithms out there like GPT-2 and I want to say Grover. I don't know why I'm blanking on the name right now. That can write really coherent text. Like it's honestly, I'm usually kind of cynical, but it's really impressive. But the difference there is like, does it really understand? And that's kind of a future case that AI isn't at yet. And if you're using, oh, I'm sorry.
I thought that your audio.
Oh, I don't. Am I making noise?
Sorry, you were probably talking the whole time, and I thought that you were because my AirPods got out.
Okay. The point, so I don't say everything again, just in case, was we have really sophisticated algorithms right now that can write convincing passages of text, but the idea of an algorithm that can actually understand what it's saying and do the sort of, again, I really hope humans keep writing the news and do the sort of legwork of, finding the relevant passages and facts and crafting them into a coherent narrative, I think is still non-existent. And, maybe someday, but based on this alone, that's kind of where I'm leaning.
Dan, you talked about some of the biases that we've seen in AI. And I mean, this isn't the first time we've talked about this in the show before. Basically, these models are only as good as the data sets that you train them with.
Right.
And often the data sets contain human biases within them. Thinking 10, 20, 30 years of the future where we're finally able to solve for that, I wonder if there is a world where we are able to actually then create engaging news stories that are devoid of bias. I mean, today we see so much polarization in journalism. I mean, Greg spoke about headlines often not matching the body of the actual article. I mean, is there a world in which this could be helpful down the road where it is devoid of bias and like just gives us like the straight facts?
I mean, I certainly helps, especially nowadays, I think with politics and like you mentioned, such a polarizing state. I'd be interested to see how AI can actually benefit that, because I think the data that actually feeds these models is super, super important. It needs to be devoid of biases. And I'd be really interested to see how that affects politics as a whole, because a lot of people watch like one side of the news or the other side, and that's all they receive on like that certain topic. So that frames how they just think about the world and society and who to vote for, and like all these things. So I'm interested to see what kind of domino effect that could have if that wasn't a problem in the future.
That makes sense.
So
All right. Well,
I guess last thing though is like for journalism, I see an opportunity to go much deeper, kind of the Ben Thompson stratechery like angle, and this is like on the complete other side of the spectrum.
it's the fast food news.
Fast food news.
All right, we'll move on to the next game. This round is worth 10 points. So Greg and Dan, an option to get the lead. This is multiple choice. So we've got a headline here, which I'm going to read out with a blank. And then there's 3 options below, 2 of which are fake, and 1 of which is the real answer to complete the headline. The job for all of you is to write down what you think the real answer is to complete this headline. So the headline is, this robotic ball gripper can pick up a blank without breaking it. So write down your answers and then just give a thumbs up to the screen when you're done, and then we'll just show our answers to the screen.
Sorry in advance, my handwriting's not that good.
You're writing one letter.
Oh, I was writing the word actually.
Okay. Is that extra points?
Ready?
Wait for Dan.
Oh God. Okay, yeah.
All right, what do you all got? Manoj, I can't see yours. What is it?
Oh, it's B.
All right, so you all got B. You're all correct. So 10 points
Yeah.
for everyone.
You know what kind of potato chip it is? Matters.
I don't, but
Because like a Dorito is sturdier than like Lay's, you know?
although a Pringle has more like surface area to pick up.
True, and the angle.
This headline is about a robot that was created at MIT's Computer Science and AI Lab, called the Magic Ball Gripper. Great name. This is one of the first robots that has enhanced human-like senses. The idea is that the robot actually has tactile sensors, which allow it to detect the fine bits of objects and decide just how hard it should grasp them. So as a result, the robot can grasp delicate objects like a bottle or potato chips.
Really weird looking chip in that picture. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that first one is actually a secondary robot called GelFlex that uses cameras to detect the size and shape of an object, whereas the other one uses tactile sensors, which is interesting. Yeah, so move on to last headline of the day, and this one comes to us from Futurism. So this is, new research says closest exoplanet to Earth could host life. So basically, an international team of researchers have discovered a new planet called Proxima b, and it's an Earth-like planet, excuse me, that's orbiting the closest star to our solar system. The exoplanet was first discovered in 2016, but just recently scientists were able to uncover more details about it. They found that it is about 1.1 times the mass of Earth, so very similar in size. And most importantly, what they found is that it receives about the same amount of energy from its sun that Earth does from our sun. So astronomers are excited about the potential finding of alien life, but the bad news is that the Proxima Centauri solar system, which is that sun that this Proxima b planet revolves around, is 4.2 light years away from us, which means that it would take several thousand years to get there using today's propulsion technology. Question to you all, assuming that there's crazy future propulsion technology, will we be sending out groups of people to inhabit new worlds in our lifetime, or is this just another sci-fi fantasy?
Well, my first question is there Wi-Fi on the planet? Because that matters. If there is, more likely to want to go. No, I don't think so. And I'm not an astrophysicist, but that seems pretty far away. And I think we're trying to get, people to Mars first. And I think that these things take a ton of resources and coordination and brain power, and we'll get there, but in our lifetime feels too soon.
Forgetting Proxima B, do you think the same about any other planets? I mean, you mentioned Mars, which is sort of the one that we know the most about. Do you think that we'll see inhabitation in our lifetime?
No.
I mean, maybe you can send my AI avatar up there in like a couple hundred years. But no, I mean, I think based on kind of how the space industry has been progressing lately, like I think we're gonna see, I don't know if like settlements, but like research stations on the moon. I think that's a reasonable thing to see. I think we'll see boots on the ground on Mars. I have no idea about like inhabiting them. Like I don't know who you find to do that. But I don't know. I mean, assuming crazy propulsion, like for exoplanets like this, there's a whole bunch that's still unknown. And I guess if we could get there quickly, we could find out pretty quickly, like, does it have an atmosphere to protect it from that, the energy coming down from its star? Does it actually have water? There are so many unknowns, but again, those are specific things for this. But I feel like we'll start to see structures on maybe the moon and Mars, like within the next decades or however long that measurement is. But I don't know. I don't think I would want to move. I think it would be cool to jump around in different gravity for a while, and then I'd want to go home. But I don't know. My question is just who goes?
Yeah, I mean, I have some pretty similar doubts. The optimist and the futurist in me wishes that we would be on these planets in my lifetime, but I don't think we have the technology and infrastructure to accomplish that. But definitely see it as a possibility for us to, have these space stations, these boots on nearby planetary bodies. I think that's more achievable in, the coming decades rather than traveling to exoplanets.
Yeah, Dan, I wonder if the concern is less who goes. I mean, there was some sort of mission that I remember that was like a one-way mission where like those signing up, like you're signing up to never come back to Earth.
I remember
there was like
Mars, right?
Thousands of people that signed up.
Yeah.
If not more. I don't remember the number, but I remember it being significant. I actually know someone who signed up. So I think there's people that are probably willing to make the plunge. It's probably more of a technological problem. Greg, if we were able to find Wi-Fi for you, would you go?
Well, I'm from another galaxy, so it's not that. So yeah, sure. I've kind of been in a past life, so yeah, why not?
I feel like there's a whole lot of extra questions I have just based on that answer.
Next week's episode.
Okay, cool. But yeah, I mean, I feel like, there are so many space agencies just working on Mars right now. And, one of the big questions is just, what does all that radiation do to us? What does lessened gravity for so long do to us? And I feel like these are open questions right now. And, month to month, we may not find answers, but I feel like they're reasonable things to sort out over the coming years. So I think within our solar system, whether it's the moon or Mars, we might see some cool progress, but I don't know, beyond that seems like a pretty distant goal to me. Not to be stick in the mud about all three headlines, but that's where I'm at.
That's fine. We'll keep our eyes peeled. We'll move on to the last cartoon of the day. Cartoonist, you got something funny for us?
Yep. Oh, you decide.
Incredible pressure.
Yes. That's why the handwriting is so bad. So here's the first one. I see teenager. The second one.
Finally.
Then you have this millennial.
That's funny.
Same girl. And lastly, when you kept saying settlers, I kept thinking of Settlers of Catan Proxima B edition.
Right.
That one seems more realistic to me.
We should do a Kickstarter for this game. It'll get more than First Company. All right, awesome. We'll move on to the last game of the day. So this one is fill in the blank. Here I've got a headline that's missing a word. Your job is to just come up with something that is outrageously funny. And it's going to be 10 points to whoever has the funniest answer. And that actually means that that person will also win the game. And then if you happen to know the right answer, you get 5 additional bonus points. That'll give you all 30 seconds or so to come up with something funny. No pressure. Just give me a thumbs up when you got something good.
See, I'm nervous because I feel like I may have written a headline very similar to this, and I still have no memory of it. So.
Greg, I think you're last.
Yeah, I'll go last.
Okay, what do you guys got? Dan, we can go with you first.
Sure. I am almost positive this isn't right, but I went with a more handsome version of Mark Zuckerberg. And then I got too ambitious and tried to draw him, and we'll move on.
That's pretty good. Manoj, what do you got for us?
I tried to stick with the basics, company policies, terms and conditions, what Facebook stands for.
Especially in today's era.
Yeah.
Greg?
Canned tuna fish.
Yeah, I've heard that. I think that's real.
Nice. Dan, I'm going to award you the 10 points, which gives you a total of 20 points today and makes you our winner. Congratulations. I'll email you after the show with your prize. The correct answer was, in fact, people. Yeah. So Facebook's AI convincingly inserts people into photos. This is a new AI tool that the research team has been working on called the Essence Generation Network. And it's basically trained to, it's pretty interesting. Because we've all seen like poor Photoshops where people just Photoshop themselves into the photo. This network actually looks at the makeup of the photo, what the people are doing, what the mood is, all of that, and inserts a person in to match that mood and feeling and vibe. And while it may not sound so practical for Facebook to be doing it, to be just adding your friends to photos, you can think of more interesting uses in creative industries where things like reshoots tend to be super costly, being able to just plop the character back in. They did a quick study of this to see how well it's performing, and they had human volunteers try to distinguish when the AI inserted the photos, and they were only able to identify it 43% of the time, and only 28% of the time for photos that contain more than 5 people. So it's actually quite successful already, which is interesting.
What I'm hearing is that I was too specific with this one.
Yes. So for everyone watching, once again, here is everyone's guess from this week and where you can find them all online. And one more time, all of the headlines from this week came from This Week in Creative Technology. Feel free to sign up at bit.ly/join Future Fridays. Thank you, everyone, today. This is really fun, super enjoyable conversation. Thanks for joining.